century is this?
The 20th.
Great, put it on number 20.
Excuse me. Ooh. Excuse me, have you seen an old man with a lot of money? He looks like me, but he's wrinkled. Hello? Have you seen a... Dad! No!
Only black.
Holy moly! You're winning!
Beat it, boy! You're cramping my style.
Dad, please, you gotta quit by your head. You understand it? You gotta take all your money and leave now.
Sorry, boy, I have to get enough to help everybody.
But you could lose everything. Come on.
Homer, I think Rudyard Kipling said it best. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose, and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. Yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Streets is watching.
lot of times when people get this information, because it's not what you're hearing every day, it may appear to be confusing to you sometimes, or indeed you do have to study, but it may appear off from you. That's because you're not on yourself. Do you understand? You will learn that and you will begin to comprehend that later on. Logically, because you're young, there's a lot of, as the generations pass, more and more what you call reference points are lost. And therefore, lacking reference points, you don't know how to necessarily evaluate what's going on. Certain things that are going on relative to paperwork that may be issued by any organized order or group of Moors is due to the fact that you have been under what you call colonial operations. In other words, you're under European colonial occupation. This must be understood and comprehended. And a lot of people, it's sort of like people experience it every day, but many of our people are not cognizant of that. Even a lot of conscious people don't think on that point, and therefore their concepts may be wrong or misguided. It's not about hostility, it's about correcting a wrong, a horrible wrong. However, information has to be dispensed in order to kind of like purge you from misperceptions. At the same time, information is being presented to you to kind of protect you from those on both sides of the nation who are trying to put you back into servitude. Your concept of it maybe doesn't have to be. The predisposed misuse of the word racism. Race is a species, but it's a term that is used to imply the oppression that our people experience. That oppression actually is the Christian Black Codes of 1724 and the Secret Treaty of Verona and the Inquisition operations of European occupation in the Western Hemisphere. That's what's really going on. The Secret Treaty of Verona. Yeah. Let me write that down. Many of you know this, but I'm going to share it because I see a lot of new faces. Islam family. Islam family. And this is to bring you up to snuff so that you can understand other information. Meaning that for a lot of this information to make sense to you, you have to have a fundamental understanding of world history and a little bit of law. It is good and better that you know more law, but you must know them together. Yes, sir. Like say, for instance, if someone's presenting, introducing you to a race, a rally, a race, say tomorrow we're going to pen relays and you want to race, right? And so you decide you don't like your sneaks. So you take one sneak off because you don't like the way that was off. You know what I mean? It will hinder you in the race most likely. Then if you like hopping and skipping and jumping and you want to tie one leg and go into the race, people might be impressed with what you do with one leg, but most likely you're not going to win. Are we clear? Likewise, if you don't know law and history together, just like the two legs, which is what should be taught to our people, you are at a severe social, economic, and political and spiritual disadvantage. This is what is called bureaucratized slavery. Yes, sir. Particularly it was done with the, effectively with the 14th Amendment, and of course, misinformation, of course, with the Christians burning books for over 300 years to bring the darkness that we're experiencing today, which makes this information necessary to be dispensed to people who have not been privy to it, because basically the real history and law has been preserved only for persons in what you call elite position, or what is called Privy Council. Privy Council may include different levels of skull and bones, different levels of DAR, those American Revolution, Knights of Malta, Grand Sheiks, Sheikesses, potentates, all of them in secret, for the most part, wear the Moorish fez in their rituals because you're standing on Morocco. Now, logically, most people don't know the real history, so they think that the U.S. corporation is the land. It's not. It's an occupying government. Do you understand? It is a private religious corporation belonging to the Jesuits of Rome. This is one of the reasons why it's hard for our people to kind of wrap their head around this information when they get it, because they don't know the difference between corpse, and real beings. Essentially, what was constructed by the priesthood, by the dark priesthood, is the creation of a corpse to slay the living. I'm telling you the truth. The corpse to slay the living is the 14th Amendment, which they constructed after they closed the Freedmen's Bureau in 1868. And it is the principle, it is not unlike the creation of a Frankenstein in a sense. And so the 14th Amendment created what is called the artificial person, or the entity principle. The entity principle, straw man, artificial person, all are constructed via the 14th Amendment in 1868. Now, when you, how many of you read Noble Drawley's Divine Warning by the Prophet for the Nations? You read it? Most people should read it. Now, logically, your father shared that with you?
That's one of your books, right?
No, that's the problem. That may be in some of my books, but that's only for instructional purposes. Prophet Noble Drawley wrote that and presented it to our people for the purpose of resurrecting them and giving you what you call key adeptus points for you to do research on to raise your degrees. Meaning that certain things were written knowing that the people basically in the state that they were in would not totally accept at the time, because our people have been smoked, which means, you've been totally under a European psychology. Now, someone who's in psychology suffering what is called disassociation does not immediately connect the things that they should by nature connect to. Not unlike if you remove a child from his mother and someone else raises a child, even if they're abusing the child has a tendency when it meets his mother not to recognize her and not to feel the love or the compassion that the mother feels for the child that she feels has been pulled from her. Likewise, so it is with us as a people, with our relationship to our navel, our cord, our mother. Do you understand? Our nation. So therefore, usually when someone introduces us back to our mother, we speak of the mother from a third-party perspective. Those Moors, my dad's a Moor, like it's some kind of belief system. Like it's some kind of, like he become a roller skater. My father's a roller skater, when that's your bloodline. And so that bridge must be crossed for the concepts of how to receive different information to be properly disseminated in the pockets of your mind, in the chambers of your mind, to actually wash you, or to what you call baptize you, because you must be purged. But someone can say that to you, but you can't appreciate it until you do it, until you get involved, because you're disconnected. When I say you, I'm always talking plural. Keep in mind when I say you, that's plural. You're disconnected. In psychology, it's called disassociation. It is a design. It wasn't accidental. That's where you sever people from those things that are vital to them. It's like one of the strategies that the Europeans used in the 1800s, 1700s, and 1800s in order to bureaucratize servitude was they would take us from different parts of the land and send us across the country on another part of the land. And that strategy they use even today in the military to disassociate people from their families, so if they get longing or something like that, after a while they forget because they get hopeless that they're not going to get there. Do you understand? Likewise, they break off what you call reference points. This is one of the reasons why the Europeans use the psychological psychic attacks, which they're called, where they remove the names of the people, or they would call you only by one name. And then if you were using another name, people put a family name on you so that whatever you would buy or sell in society would automatically belong to the corporate state. But you wouldn't know that if you didn't know law. Meanwhile, as the generations pass, you actually work your way into poverty because you have no escape. Now, logically, a person who doesn't know law and process wouldn't recognize the strategy that was used. They would just look at it as a historical flaw when it actually has a legal implication. actually kills the status of the being. Do you understand what I'm saying? And now, persons who don't know law don't know that status and estate are equals in law. This is why our people never develop in general what is called old money. You hear the term old money?
Yes.
That's why we generally never develop what you call old money, even if you have hard workers in their families. Like most of you can, maybe your age, maybe those my age, and those maybe a generation after me can remember, grandmom's or uncle Rube's estate as an example for myself. Are anybody familiar with New Jersey, Camden, Cherry Hill area? All right, now my family land, like in Pennsauken, like on Park Avenue where that high school is. That used to be my Uncle Rube's farm, that whole area. And my family's land was from there, from Merchantville, Pennsauken to Cherry Hill to where the racetrack used to be. Where they now have a depot and all that on 70. All of that land was my family land. All of us should be wealthy. Over the generations it was stolen. And most of you have stories like that. Do you understand? But at the same time, most of you don't know that we're the people of the land. And we're not Indians, although they call us that. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And so after generations after a while, our people lose a cognizance of who they are, their connection to the land. They develop what you call a subordinate and an inferior mentality. They own nothing, so therefore there's no connection. You understand? And after a few generations, they just, like you see many of the young brothers and sisters now, most of them don't necessarily project their lives as if they're going to live past 30, because they have nothing to connect to. And then the parents being broken spiritually, all they do is build churches and bars. Do you understand? Not knowing that the codes to destroy their family came directly from the church, with the Christian Black Codes of 1722, and they themselves are the greatest defenders of their own enslavement and don't even know it, because they think the church and Jesus are unions, when the one they call Jesus had nothing to do with the church. Not only that, Jesus is a password. There's no J in Hebrew. The letter J wasn't even used in language until the 1500s. And so you can see that most of our people are not only miseducated, they're emotionally broken and think they know stuff. They don't know nothing about anything for the most part. And then the self-righteousness which is taught to them, give them the superior attitude that they know God, Jesus, Allah, Muhammad better than everybody else, and God made them, didn't make anybody else, they're saved. Meanwhile, their babies are dying younger and younger on the street, their families are tore up, they control nothing, but they're saved, which is the extremest level of hypocrisy that the world has ever known. However, they won't release that either. So it's because they're suffering disassociation, they're sick. And you can't tell them that they're sick, because they think that you're taking a superior position, which is not the truth. Because we're all sick, if you get the point. And we need to fix this. But you can't fix things if you don't know what's really wrong. And then the other pattern is that our training has been, for the most part, to deal with symptoms and not the root of problems. Therefore, we must go back to the principles of our ancient Moorish mothers and fathers to begin to change the concepts that we have about ourselves, to understand the dynamics that takes place with us in everyday affairs, including with our own so-called leadership. Some of you are sellouts. But you can't know that unless you know history and law. Meaning that if someone shows you compassion, someone shows that they care for you, something like that, logically, because everybody wants to be loved, everybody wants to be liked, and you can often think, they got your best interest in heart. It's like, say, for instance, we could have a black rally, right? And somebody can get down, yeah, man, what we really want to talk about is what they did to the black man. And everybody, gathers around him and everything, don't even know that he's sealing their fate. As soon as they agree to be black man, they agree to be Christian property under the 14th Amendment, registered right here in the state of Delaware, because they don't know law, they don't know the word is a tag, they think it's an identity of Afrocentricity. And if you tell them anything contrary to that, they're ready to fight you because they think you're not a believer. I'm serious. So we have a horrible situation going on here, trying to educate people who don't respect knowledge. because they've been treated to reject knowledge. You get the point, even though their forefathers were the founders of the principles and the institutions on the planet that preserve the knowledge. In other words, we're the direct descendants of the founders of civilization and have fallen the lowest, and then don't know it. And then when the information is presented, they look at it as a belief system or an opinion. So they don't know how to separate opinions from realities. They're like plugged in a false matrix. And if you pull the plug on them, they want to fight you. Now, so what do you do when there's somebody you love? It's a difficult situation. You know, and so it makes it easy for the Europeans to mistreat them because he's their God. Keep in mind, our people have pride. Anyone, like just say for instance, if you have a vehicle out there that's not running, and you're a mechanic, and someone is charging you, to fix the vehicle, you will approach it from the fact of the mathematics and the engineering, not from emotional, that they like their car. Don't lean on the fender, that one thing ain't running, ain't going nowhere. Fix the engine, but don't lean on the fender. But don't lean on the fender. You don't deal with that, you deal with what's happening. Does it have gas? Does it have fuel? Tires are up. Is the engine running? Does it have ignition? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You look at the systems, and you would deal with it from an engineering perspective. When it comes to our problems, our people have a tendency to approach it with their emotions and not with the engineering principle. You see the point? Not logistically. And that's part of the training. So again, Islam, it makes it kind of difficult, and so you have to kind of get over that hurdle.